Hello, I'm Paul Peterson. If you've ever driven along Vermont Avenue at Melrose, you'll have noticed the impressive city block-long building housing the Braille Institute. In its 90th year, the Institute provides a wide array of free services for not only the legally blind, but anyone with visual impairment. With a third of all older adults reporting some loss of sight, there may be many of our viewers that don't realize just what the Braille Institute may be able to do for them. Please stay tuned for Aging in LA. Macular degeneration, glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, and cataracts are not uncommon in older adults. And the visual impairment that can accompany these conditions can be daunting to contemplate for many. The Braille Institute is instrumental in helping them to adapt to vision loss and lead rich, fulfilling lives. Joining us today are Carmen Appelgren, Community Relations Coordinator at the Braille Institute, and Dan Donlin, former professor at UC Riverside, who became a student at the Institute when macular degeneration impaired his vision. Thank you both for coming today. What a treat. Now, I must do the introductions of your service dogs here. This is Val, here in front of me.
Yes, it is.
And Albert.
Albert.
And boy, they do look like a match set.
They must be related somewhere.
Yeah, somehow or another. It's like my dad always said, if you meet somebody named Peterson, you're going to be related to him.
Right, exactly.
That's fun. Now, Carmen, you were just telling me you've been with the Braille Institute on staff for 19 years? Mm-hmm. And you volunteered before that?
I did. From 1986 to 1990, I taught tap dancing to the blind students on Fridays. And then I was there on Fridays, so I said, maybe I'll teach some staff, too. So I taught students for an hour and staff for an hour.
Fantastic. Yeah. And, of course, this is because of your theatrical background, dancer and a singer.
Singer, actor.
Wow.
For 20 years. My job at Braille is my second career. So my first career was in the show business, doing everything I could. I was a songwriter, too, and a playwright, and sang and danced and acted. Triple
there
threat.
You go. Now, Dan, tell me about, you were at UC Riverside, and you were there for many years.
Right.
And then you started to notice a loss of vision?
Yeah, but when I turned about 45, it started in my left eye, and then it just kept getting kind of worse and worse.
Yes.
I stopped driving, and then a few years before I retired, I had a retinal detachment in that eye, and since my other eye had been going bad also,
yes.
It got pretty grim, and I was a little depressed or down about it for about a year after the surgery.
Yeah, I understand. But then you understood that you needed to learn some new things.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And that's where the Braille Institute came into your life?
Yeah, and when I moved to LA, that was all possible because I was very close distance to Braille.
That's great.
And Dan, tell them about that you were afraid to do certain things, and then from training at Braille, you just went back out and just flew.
Yeah, it was, my wife has always been very, very supportive, and we've always gone for walks and drives and stuff like that, and she tells me what I need to see, or if I'm going to knock my water glass over, she does that. So I was out walking one night, and I stumbled, and I realized that I really needed some sort of mobility training.
Yes.
And then when we moved to downtown LA in 2003, my wife encouraged me to hook up with Braille because she said they have a lot of services. And the reason we knew that is we'd been on the Braille mailing list for, about 20 years.
We got them early.
We got them early. And then she'd read all of these things and with her amazing memory said, you can do this, this, and this. So I, right before I fully retired, I went out for counseling at Braille. And she recommended mobility training, cooking, and home adjustment or home management.
Right. Like making your home safe for yourself.
Right.
Yes, of course.
And how to mark your microwave, and
Right.
you know, if you can't tell the can of tomatoes from the can of chili, you put a rubber band around one of them. It was neat.
Tricks.
A lot of times people, when they lose their sight, even with macular degeneration, they're not totally blind. But if you've seen perfectly all your life and you get macular degeneration and only have your peripheral, they feel like they're totally blind. So they come to us to find out, and they find out after a short time, gee, I can still cook. Gee, I can still write a check. Gee, I can still get from my house to the grocery store.
Turn the
These are
stove on.
huge things that sighted people take for granted, because there's a reason you take it for granted, because you can do it.
That's right.
So they're learning a different way to do the same things they did before, but they just do it in a different way.
Right, and that loss of visual acuity, it's frightening to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Of course it is. Now, is most of the staff at the Braille Institute blind?
Not really. About 10% of the staff is blind. We have, but a lot of our volunteers are visually impaired.
Wow.
So we have 13 volunteers to every staff person.
Wow.
So, yeah, we
Lord.
couldn't do what we do without our volunteers. Anyone out there wants to volunteer? Just call.
Carmen is the gal.
They do everything. And so we have teachers that will have been students. You know, we have 25 art classes. A lot of those teachers now were the students, you know, that first started it, and now they're teaching their own classes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I can see if you have learned to enrich your life, that there's going to be a tendency to want to give back. Dan, I didn't ask you, you were a professor of what?
I was a professor of education. I started out doing literacy research, and I trained a lot of English teachers and taught all the reading courses and curriculum courses there. And then halfway through my career, I went into administration, and I ended up associate dean of the School of Education, and then director of the teacher education program.
Oh boy! So this was in fact the loss of vision was a wrenching
There was
moment.
so much to read, and you know, and as I said, the university was so wonderful because they gave me a reader. You know, they provided me with any type of device that I needed to help me perform my job better.
Sure.
You know? The thing that got a little scary was most of our classes, because we taught adults, you know, people that were coming back to school to be teachers.
Yes.
Most of the classes were at night, and night was awful for me to wander around. So, you know, stairways and things, and I thought, I really need some help here, you know.
And what's
I wanted the white cane training was so important.
Right, the night blindness really gets you, right?
Really
It's
Absolutely.
It's totally different.
Well, now, you were telling me, Carmen, about the facility that is, in fact, training these service dogs. I didn't realize that you had a facility at the Braille Institute.
No.
Did I misunderstand?
Yeah, these dogs are from Guide Dogs for the Blind, which is in San Rafael.
There we go.
All of the blindness, but that brings us to, good segue, that all the blindness institutions all refer each other. So, because we all do different things. So this May, in fact, we did a workshop for people who maybe wanted to use a guide dog, because you see, getting a guide dog helps with your mobility.
Sure.
So that one step, you know, it's not for everybody, only 2% have dogs, but so Braille Institute and all the different organizations, we all refer each other, we're all inclusive, because our goal is the same, is to help blind and visually impaired people to live a rich, full life.
Well, we happen to have some video, because Carmen recently gave Aging in LA a tour of their facility, visiting a few of the classes offered on a daily basis by the Braille Institute. Here's the first part of our visit.
We are in the kitchen area here, where we teach cooking, all kinds, whether it be microwave, electric, or gas, and we teach how to do it safely and effectively. Plus, we teach independent living skills, home management, all designed so people can keep their independence. And the person who teaches this class is Mindy Leventhal.
Vicky's over here. She's making individual pie crusts that we made from scratch. We're making miniature quiches today. 6 of them will be crab meat with cream cheese, and the other 6 are going to be quiche Lorraine. This is Melissa. She's baking some oatmeal cookies.
First, had to measure, and we all learned how to measure with, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but you see they have dots on there, like this has 3 dots for those of us who are visually impaired, and do baking and cooking just like everyone else. And so we're making oatmeal cookies from scratch, and so measured out, you know, the flour and the sugar and eggs, and just beating that in the mixer right now.
I've been coming to Braille for 2 years, and in Mindy's class, where I'm learning how to use cooking tools without hurting myself. I'm doing the grating, and I've learned how to use the knives correctly. I'm really enjoying it, and meeting the other students and seeing all the different ways of making good food. Really good.
Today we worked with some knife skills with Marjorie, and we were chopping some nuts. So why don't you show them the technique I showed you? She holds the knife in one hand and the top of the knife with the other hand, so we know that there will be no fingers underneath the blade. And she rocks the knife, and she's able to feel safe, and she's using chef's knife, which a lot of people are afraid of using, but we teach them the proper techniques and safety tips. And we teach them that accidents happen from dull knives, not sharp knives. Dull knives bounce off the food.
And as you can see, I can also gather my nuts as they spread out, put them back together, and keep rocking the knife.
Here we are at the music class that David Simpson is teaching. This is one of several groups that we have. This is the Luminaries, which is an all-women's choir.
2, 3, 4. Okay, the next part. Here are the lyrics, and here is the best part.
And here is the best part.
You have a head start.
You have a head start.
If you are among the very young at heart. And here is the best part. You have a head start. If you are among the very young at heart.
What a wonderful piece, and of course a nice inspirational song, which reminds me, Dan, you love music.
Yes. Yeah.
And one of the reasons for moving downtown was so that you could be close to the symphony.
Right, and the opera.
Yeah. Yes. Well, the opera's a bit much for me.
We could win you over.
I see. Carmen, it is so important to mention this because I know members of our audience are thinking, well, the Braille Institute, what have they got for me? In fact, there are many free services there for people.
Yes, and let me just mention a few. First of all, we want everyone to know we have free services. Count them, free, F-R-E-E,
Yeah,
for everybody.
I didn't
a lot of times, I was telling you, Paul, that people think it costs a lot of money. No, it doesn't. So we want you to know that. We have classes, over 150 classes throughout the year in different things like art or Braille reading and writing, cooking. We have a Dodger class that Wes Parker teaches. He was a Dodger.
Cool. Yes, he was.
Every year takes like 30 people to the game and sits next to each of them and tells them what that player's thinking out there.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
We have salsa dancing, yoga, I mean, whatever you can think of. Every class, there's no such thing as a frivolous class because it could be that cooking class that makes that person think, gee, I can still do all the things I did before.
Right.
You know? And we also have free Braille services. We produce millions of pages in Braille every year. And our library for the blind and physically handicapped, which offers over 90,000 titles of talking books.
Fantastic. Yeah. Carmen, it's time to take a short break. So when we return, we will continue our visit to the Braille Institute. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute.
You know, honey,
I've been thinking. You're not prepared for an earthquake. Take this antique vase your mom got you. If the big one hit, be a goner. Or this clay penguin you made in 3rd grade. History. By simply strapping loose furniture to the wall and putting putty under loose items, you can prevent serious injury and damage. Nothing is safe, even poor Uncle Petey. Get the message? Be prepared.
The Department of Public Works Bureau of Contract Administration keeps the city's projects on track, ensuring safety first and fairness always, from the streets all the way to the stars.
Welcome back to Aging in LA. I'm Paul Peterson, and today we are finding out all about the Braille Institute. Our guests are Carmen Applegren, Community Relations Coordinator at the Braille Institute, and Dan Donlan, former professor at UC Riverside, who became a student at the Institute when macular degeneration impaired his vision. Thank you both again for joining us. This is utterly fascinating. Now, how many students, how many people are on campus at the Braille Institute on any given day?
Any given day, it's about 150 to 200 students will be on our campus, yes.
Wow.
And we have, I just wanted to mention, we have centers all over Southern California. Our mothership is in Los Angeles.
It is the mothership.
Since 1919. We are old. And then Rancho Mirage, Santa Barbara, San Diego, and in Orange County and Anaheim. So we cover, with our direct services, all of Southern California. And we have outreach programs, so we go to senior centers, because transportation, Paul, is a big deal for people who are visually impaired.
Southern California, amen.
And it's because it's not a, it's a car place, you know. So we take our show on the road to go to them also, because not everybody can get in.
Do you remember Alan Sherman's great description of Los Angeles? It was 28 shopping centers looking for a city.
Exactly. Now it's probably
But that's
100.
good that you're mobile, and,
Yes.
and of course, I assume that there are transportation services available for people to come to the campus.
Oh, definitely. We have routes. We have 13 different routes. This is at our LA center. So we have a fleet of, we come in from San Pedro, actually. We have a pickup here. Torrance, as far as Santa Clarita, and we have a bus that comes in from Pomona since 1964.
Well, now, Dan, tell me a little bit about this. You were a piano player, and now you're getting instruction and help so you can do jazz?
Jazz, yeah, right.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
I've been in the program 4 years, and as I said, I would hate to pay privately for the quality of musical instruction I've had. And he started with individual lessons. Then he said, "Would you like to play in a jazz group?" And then we started the Monday afternoon jazz group. Now we've got a Latin jazz class.
Fantastic.
It's been unbelievable.
Now, you mentioned a name. You're a teacher, because we have some of the best studio musicians in the world out here.
Our teacher is David Simpson. David Simpson and Faye Roberts are our two music teachers, and they're both professionals. I mean, you know, they do gigs on the weekend.
Yeah.
They're 100-carat diamonds.
Yes, they are.
That's so fantastic. Now, we have people who are watching right now who are caregivers, and perhaps a loved one is beginning to suffer the effects of deteriorating vision. I want to make sure people know how to get in touch with you, Carmen.
Well, they can just call us at 1-800-BRAILLE.
Now, that's pretty darn simple.
Yeah, 1-800-BRAILLE. Or we have a website, brailleinstitute.org.
Right.
And we will be glad to talk to anybody. And if someone does have a caregiver and that caregiver needs to be with that student, they can come with them to Braille Institute. You know, they can accompany them. We have several people that have caregivers.
What are the youngest ages that are there? I mean, I know we focus on senior issues, but...
Well, let me tell you, we start with age 0 to over 100.
Wow!
A couple of little factoids for you. We do child development with the 0 to before they go to kindergarten. This is a wonderful program. We have about 200 kids in it right now. So this is where, say someone like Children's Hospital has some parents that have a blind child. They give us, you know, we have a partnership with them. They will say, here, you can call the Braille Institute. We have a counselor that will go into that home, work with the parents and with the baby and the siblings till that child's ready to go to preschool. They go to a regular preschool because sighted kids, you know, they have no problems with anybody with
Right.
disabilities, right? They're just kids.
Well, of
like
course,
everyone else.
they don't even notice. In
They
fact,
don't even notice.
Earlier in the program, we dropped in on cooking and vocal music classes. So we have some tape. Let's see what's in store as we continue our tour of classes offered by the Braille Institute.
This is our computer room, and Francis Daniels is the teacher of adaptive technology. And Francis has taught here for many, many years. He loves it, and the students love him.
This is a facility where we teach blind people how to use access technology. We have large print, which is zoom text for Windows, and that shows information in different sizes of large print. We also are using JAWS, which stands for Job Access with Speech, and that's a Windows screen reader. This class is currently working on a project where they're typing documents, learning Microsoft Word, and various applications so that they can use it in their own personal life.
We're here in front of the Creative Arts Room that we're going to visit, where Rhonda Velasic is the teacher, and they teach everything from ceramics to printmaking to sculpture. The sky's the limit.
This class we have tile pictures, and we use some adaptive techniques so the students can work on their own. Here we've put down a raised glue line so the students can feel the space that they're going to fill in. A lot of the students bring pictures or ask for pictures, and we draw them out for them, or they'll bring a picture from home. But this makes them independent, so they're able to work on their own with some small little adaptive techniques. Mary's working on a picture of one of her guide dogs, and she loves to do tile pictures, and she always brings me difficult things, black on black, but she brings me pictures of the dog, and I tell her where to fill in, and she cuts all the tiles. Emery's cutting all his tiles into tiny little pieces. Helen's working with a volunteer, and she's working on some ceramic pieces. What are you making, Helen?
I'm making what would you call it? Like a hanging basket to put plant, like
a wall.
in.
Oh, a wall.
Dried flowers, dried weeds.
Yeah.
This is a sculpture by Seward that was donated by Helen Lyndhurst, and it is a sculpture of our founder, Bob Atkinson, who was a real cowboy who was blinded in 1912, and he became the founder of Braille Institute in 1919. The book that he is reading is Real Braille. This is the Vista store. We have many items here for the blind and visually impaired. Talking watches, talking clocks, talking calculators, talking scales, thermometers, anything that can help the blind person live an independent life. We also have large print address books, large print check displays, color readers, any kind of item you can think of that will help the blind or visually impaired person to live an independent life with the help of all of these different kind of cooking items, etc.
Well, and Carmen, this is great to know because many people don't know where to go to get these assistive devices.
That's right.
That's fantastic.
They can come here, they can go online, that we have the catalog is online, and you can just call us up and order it, and our clerks there will spend as much time as you need to describe anything.
Tell me about the library quickly.
The Library for the Blind and Physically Handicapped is part of the National Library Service, Library of Congress.
Yes.
What I want you to know about that is not just for people who are visually impaired, but anyone who's print impaired. Anyone who has MS or MD, can't move their arms, is a paraplegic, maybe has very bad arthritis, they all can get the talking books.
Well, the talking books are the greatest thing on earth, especially when you're in the car. Now, Dan, the mobility training you received, tell me a bit about
That was one of Braille's greatest gifts to me, was Carolyn Bryant, who was my mobility teacher. She came out to my house every Wednesday and worked with me a full morning on getting me around all the downtown streets, how to cross with the traffic, how to get on every single bus, subway, and she just made my life free.
That's what we do at Braille Institute. We give people the tools and the programs so that they can do the things that they want to do. The sky's the limit. They can still do everything they did before.
Well, it's centrally located. I mean, come on, Vermont and Melrose,
Yep.
you have a whole feeder system. It's like having, I won't call them minor leagues, but teams in other towns.
And resources, all the resources that are available for people,
Right.
we let them know about those too.
Okay, now once again, I want to get the contact information back out there.
1-800-BRAILLE, B-R-A-I-L-L-E, or BrailleInstitute.org.
Right.
Come visit us online.
Exactly. And thank you for bringing Val and Albert. They were really quite well behaved.
They're good partners.
Yeah, they are. They enjoyed this
Great.
a lot.
Well, Carmen, Dan, our time is up for today's edition of Aging in LA. And thank you so much for being here, Carmen, and Community Relations Coordinator at the Braille Institute, and Dan Donlin, who became a student at the Institute when macular degeneration impaired his vision and made the right choice to go seek help.
Yep.
And now, it's time for today's Senior Stat Shot. A rapidly increasing proportion of the aging population experiences eye problems that make simple daily tasks difficult or impossible even when wearing glasses or contact lenses. Severe eye problems are not just a matter of getting older. The risk of severe eye problems has been found to increase significantly with age, particularly in those over age 65. In the 18 to 44 years bracket, about 5.5% of Americans have had vision loss. For those 45 to 64 years old, 12% suffer a decline in their vision. From 65 to 74 years of age, 13.5% have vision loss. And if you are over 75, 22% of seniors your age have vision loss. So, compared to Americans 18 to 44 years of age, seniors 65 to 74 years of age were nearly 3 times more likely to report vision loss. And those over 75 years of age were more than 4 times as likely as those 18 to 44 years of age to have had vision loss. And that's today's Senior Stat Shot. The Los Angeles Department of Aging produces this program with CityView, Channel 35, so that seniors living in Los Angeles and surrounding communities are well informed on the many issues that face them in everyday life. And also to let you know of the many services that the Department of Aging offers our senior citizens. And we'd like to hear from you with comments on the program, what you like, what you think can be improved, and your ideas for future programs. Please give us a call. The number's there on your screen, area code 213-252-4088. That's 213-252-4088. Call us with your comments and ideas. We look forward to hearing from you. I'm Paul Peterson for the Los Angeles Department of Aging, the people here at CityView Channel 35, and all of our guests on Aging in LA. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.